Alright folks, if you've ever dived into SpongeBob Tower Defense, you know the game throws a ton of Bikini Bottom's finest at you. But with so many characters to choose from, it's easy to get lost in the sea of options. Which units are actually worth your Krabby Patties? Which ones will leave you defenseless against the jellyfish hordes? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Today, we're breaking down the ultimate SpongeBob TD tier list, so you know exactly who to pick for the best defense. Whether you're a seasoned fry cook or a total newbie, this list will help you build the strongest squad. Some units are absolute powerhouses, holding the line like Mr. Krabs guarding his cash register. Others? Well, let's just say they belong in the chum bucket. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know which Bikini Bottom legends deserve like a spot in your lineup, and which ones should be left flopping like a fish out of water. Let's get into it. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking units in SpongeBob Tower Defense. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
A very small portion of the audience is subscribed to the channel. Please don't forget to subscribe if you like these types of videos. Thanks.
The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Slappy Laszlo, Barnacle Boy Patrick, Karate SpongeBob, Goofy Goober Waiter, Gene Scallop, Jim, Barnacle Boy, Bubble Bass, Sandy, Patrick, and Gary. Alright, let's talk about the D tier units in SpongeBob Tower Defense. And yeah, it's not pretty. These are the guys that you'll probably want to replace ASAP, unless you enjoy making your life harder for no reason. But hey, we've all been there, sticking with a character just because we like them, even when they're objectively terrible. So, let's dive in and see who's making the cut for the just starting out but please replace me squad. First up, we've got Slappy Laszlo. Now, this guy is a support unit, which sounds good on paper, but here's the problem. His slow effect is so short that by the time you blink, it's already over. He's like that friend who offers to help you move but disappears the second the heavy lifting starts. There are better support units out there, so unless you enjoy suffering, swap him out as soon as you can. Next, we have Barnacle Boy Patrick. He's actually one of the better uncommon units, and his single target DPS is nothing to scoff at. The problem? He has no AoE damage whatsoever, making him useful for exactly one thing: hitting one enemy at a time, really hard. If that sounds good to you, great, but realistically, he's just a placeholder until you get someone better. Speaking of placeholders, let's talk about Karate SpongeBob. He's got decent single target damage, but once again, no AoE. If you're just starting out, he might seem fine, but trust me, there are way better options waiting for you. He's like using a wooden sword in an RPG. Sure, it does the job, but why would you stick with it when you have access to something sharper? Now, Goofy Goober Waiter is an interesting case. He's actually one of the best uncommon units, with solid range and AoE DPS. But, and it's a big but, he gets completely outclassed by any rare unit. He's like the kid in school who's really good at sports, until he joins the varsity team and realizes everyone else is just built different. If you're brand new to the game, he's great, but don't get too attached. Moving on, we've got Gene Scallop. This guy's got solid line DPS, which sounds cool, right? Until you realize his range is so short that he might as well be using a pool noodle as a weapon. He can do some damage, sure, but positioning him effectively is a nightmare. You'll probably want to replace him as soon as possible unless you enjoy frustration. And then there's Jim. Poor Jim. His single target DPS is just okay, but he has no AoE at all. He's one of the worst uncommon units in the game, which is honestly kind of an achievement. If SpongeBob Tower Defense had a participation trophy, Jim would get it. The best advice? Swap him out immediately and pretend this never happened. Finally, let's talk about Barnacle Boy, Bubble Bass, Sandy, Patrick, and Gary. Barnacle Boy is just straight up bad, low range, a DOT that does basically nothing, and no real redeeming qualities. Bubble Bass has a tiny AoE radius and low range, so he's more of a disappointment than a real threat. Sandy? Great single target DPS, but her range is so short she might as well be punching enemies herself. Patrick has good range, but is completely underwhelming compared to Squidward and SpongeBob. And Gary? Well, Gary tries his best, but his slow effect is too short and his DPS is non-existent. He's like a motivational speaker who can't motivate anyone. So yeah, that's the D tier squad. If you're just starting out, these guys might seem fine, but trust me, you'll want to replace them as soon as you get better options. And if you're still using them in the later stages of the game, well, I admire your dedication, but you're making things way harder than they need to be. Now, let's move on to some actually useful units. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Baby Prunes, Dirty Bubble, Lord Royal Highness, Squilliam Fancyson, Old Man Jenkins, Bubble Buddy, Mrs. Puff, Karate Sandy, Kevin C. Cucumber, SpongeBob, and Squidward. Alright, let's be real for a second. Sometimes you just gotta settle for the C tier units. Maybe you're out of luck with summons, maybe you just like playing off meta, or maybe you just have a soft spot for Old Man Jenkins. Whatever the reason, today we're diving into the SpongeBob Tower Defense C tier squad. Are they terrible? Not exactly. Are they amazing? Also no, but hey, they exist, and that counts for something, right? First up, we've got Baby Prunes, and let me tell you, for an epic unit, he's kinda mid. His line AoE DPS is decent, but his range? Meh. There are just way better epic options out there. He's like that one classmate who does their homework but never goes the extra mile. Respectable, but forgettable. Then we have Dirty Bubble. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't he supposed to be super powerful? Well, not really. His AoE DPS is just okay, but the dude has such low range that he might as well be whispering threats instead of attacking. He tries his best, but in a world of long-range monsters, he's just floating around aimlessly. Lord Royal Highness is up next, and honestly, I expected more from a guy with Royal in his name. His line DPS is solid, but his low range holds him back. And don't even get me started on his single target damage. It's like expecting a royal feast and getting a single Krabby Patty with no condiments. Now, Squilliam Fancyson. He's got the full AoE thing going for him, which is nice, but low range and power creep have done him dirty. Back in the day, he was a big deal, but now, he's like an outdated luxury car. Still cool, just not the best option anymore. Old Man Jenkins is here, and honestly, it's kinda sad. His AoE radius is pretty big, and his DPS is okay-ish, but there's just no real reason to use him over other rare units. He's that one grandpa who still insists on using a flip phone even though everyone else has moved on. Bubble Buddy, on the other hand, is actually a solid rare unit. His line AoE DPS is respectable, but the problem? He's been completely overshadowed by the newer meta starters. It's like he was once the king of the playground, but now he's just that guy who tells stories about the good old days. And finally, we gotta talk about SpongeBob and Squidward. For common units, they actually hold up okay. SpongeBob has decent AoE DPS, and Squidward's damage is surprisingly solid for a common. But here's the thing, you should replace them ASAP. They're like those old starter Pokemon you love, but won't carry you through the Elite Four. Nostalgic? Yes. Practical? Not so much. So there you have it. The C-tier gang in all their semi-mediocre glory. Some are okay, some are kinda sad. But hey, they're still part of the SpongeBob Tower Defense universe, and that's gotta count for something, right? The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: King Neptune, Tango Karen, Flying Dutchman, Doodle Bob, Plankton, Mr. Krabs, Texas Sandy, Princess Mindy, Karen, Patty Obsessed Squidward, the Elastic Waistband, Pearl, and Grandma Square Pants. Alright, let's talk about the weird middle ground of SpongeBob Tower Defense units. The B tier. You know, the ones that aren't totally useless, but also not the MVPs of your lineup. These are the units that make you go, I guess that'll work. Let's break it down. First up, King Neptune. You'd think a god of the sea would be, god tier, but here we are. He's got solid range and a massive AoE radius, which sounds amazing, until you realize his single target DPS is about as intimidating as a jellyfish sting. And to make things worse, he's been power creeped into oblivion. Sorry King, but you're more of a washed up ruler in this meta. Now, Tango Karen. Ah yes, the dancing machine. She's got decent single target DPS, but her AoE DPS is so bad that it's almost comical. And let's not even talk about her attack animation. It's so slow that you could probably watch an entire episode of SpongeBob before she lands a hit. One of the worst legendary units? Yeah, that checks out. The Flying Dutchman is up next, and honestly, he's not terrible. His line AoE DPS is alright, and he can handle single target enemies decently well. But his range, it's so short you think he's afraid of floating too far from his ship. And just like Neptune, he's been power creeped, so there's usually a better ghost, or, well, unit, for the job. Doodle Bob, our chaotic little doodle friend, actually has some solid stats. Good range, decent single target, DPS. But zero AoE presence. Like, none. If you need him to hold down a lane solo, you're gonna have a bad time. Also, he's considered one of the worst legendary units, which is just tragic for a character with such meme potential. Plankton is another interesting case. His range is fantastic, and his AoE DPS is passable. But the problem? There's just no real reason to use him over someone like the Flying Dutchman or Sauce Mollusk. It's like bringing a butter knife to a sword fight. Technically you can use it, but why would you? Now, let's talk about some AoE powerhouses, Mr. Krabs, Pearl, and Grandma Squarepants. Mr. Krabs has solid AoE DPS, but his attack speed is painfully slow, and his range is kind of sad. Pearl, on the other hand, actually has extremely solid full AoE damage and decent range, but again, she's been power creeped. And Grandma Squarepants, she's easy to get and dishes out some really good AoE damage, but Puff and Squilliam are just flat out better. Poor Grandma. And finally, let's not forget about the Elastic Waistband and Patty-obsessed Squidward. Both are full AoE units with good DPS, but they suffer from, you guessed it, power creep. They were once great, but now they're just fine. And in a game where every slot counts, fine just isn't good enough. So there you have it, the B tier. Not the worst, but definitely not the best. If you've got better options, you're probably better off using them. But hey, if you're a die-hard Flying Dutchman fan, I respect the hustle. Just don't say I didn't warn you. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Dirty Dan, Smitty Werben Jagermeister Jensen, Realistic Fishhead, SpongeGar, Pinhead Larry, Mermaid Man, Man Ray, Band Geek Patrick, Larry the Lobster, Mermaid Man SpongeBob, Atomic Flounder, and Band Geek Squidward. Alright, let's talk about the A tier units in SpongeBob Tower Defense, because this is where things get spicy. These units are strong, reliable, and can hold their own in most situations, but, big but, they all suffer from some form of power creep. Still, if you're working with them, you're in a good spot. First up, Dirty Dan, an absolute menace when it comes to splash DPS. He's got solid range, a nice big splash area, and can deal some serious damage. The only problem? There are stronger alternatives now, and that hurts his standing. But if you need a reliable AoE damage dealer, Dirty Dan still gets the job done. Now let's talk about Smitty Werben Jagermeister Jensen, and yes, I practice saying that. This guy is all about full AoE destruction. He spreads damage everywhere, which is great, but he struggles with single target enemies. His range is also kinda meh. Again, not bad, just power creeped. You'll see that as a recurring theme here. Realistic Fishhead is another full AoE unit with solid DPS. If you're looking for someone to wipe out groups, he's got you. The issue? You guessed it, low range and a lack of single target burst. But hey, at least he keeps the battlefield clean, right? Now, if you need a boss killer, look no further than SpongeGar. This prehistoric powerhouse absolutely melts single targets. He's fantastic for handling big enemies, but don't expect him to carry an entire game by himself. No AoE at all, and pretty low range make him more of a specialist than a generalist. Pinhead Larry steps up with some really strong pierce DPS. If you've got enemies lined up, he's gonna make them regret it. His range is solid too. The downside, he's not great at dealing with single targets and, well, stronger units exist. But in the right situations, he shines. Moving on, we've got Mermaid Man, who brings insane AoE dishes to the table. The catch? His AoE is kinda small, and his range isn't doing him any favors. Still, if you position him well, he can do some serious work. Just don't expect miracles. And finally, Man Ray. Good range, strong line DPS, but his attack animation takes forever, which kinda tanks his damage output. Oh, and he's considered one of the worst mythics in the game. Ouch, but hey, he's still in A tier, so it's not all bad. So there you have it. A tier units, strong, useful, but all struggling against the ever-growing list of more powerful options. Still, if you're rolling with these guys, you're in for a good time. Just don't expect them to break the game. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Captain Magma, Hibernation Sandy, The Quickster, Band Geek McCrabs, Soaring Starfish, Spot, Band Geek Pearl, Handsome Squidward, Misappear, Snow Mollusk, Granny Tentacles, Band Geek Plankton, and Band Geek Sandy. Alright, let's be real, if you're not running Captain Magma in your loadout, what are you even doing? This dude is an absolute monster. His DPS is through the roof, and he wipes out waves like they're nothing. The only problem? That range. I mean, come on Captain, stretch those arms or something. But hey, if you can position him well, he's still one of the best AoE damage dealers in the game, no question. Now, let's talk about Hibernation Sandy. She's got that crisp line AoE damage, solid single target hits, and some nice range. But let's face it, she's kinda getting outclassed these days. She's like that old reliable friend who's still good, but doesn't quite shine like she used to. If you're running in her, you're not making a mistake, but you might find yourself wanting more once you see what the newer units can do. Then, we've got the Quickster. Full AoE damage? Check. Decent range? Check. But single target DPS? Hey, not so much. And the worst part? He's been power creeped into oblivion. It's like he had his moment, but now he's just struggling to keep up with the new generation. Still, if you're nostalgic for the good old days, he's not a bad pick. Ban Geek Mr. Krabs though, now we're talking. This guy brings the splash AoE damage like nobody's business. Huge splash radius means more enemies get hit, which is always a win. But yeah, his range could use some work. If he had just a little more reach, he'd be absolutely busted. Still, he's a fantastic unit for dealing with groups, and that's what matters. Soaring Starfish is another beast when it comes to splash DPS. Great damage, great range, but man, that splash area is tiny. It's like he's throwing pebbles instead of bombs. If you can make his placement work, he's fantastic, but you might have to do some extra thinking to get the most out of him. And let's not forget Spot. This little guy brings the heat with insane splash, DPS, and a huge AoE radius. The downside? Low range compared to other legendary units, and his single target damage is kinda meh. He's like that one friend who's amazing in group projects but struggles when left to do things solo. Still, in the right team, he's a powerhouse. Now, if you're looking for the best epic units, Granny Tentacles and Ban Geek Plankton are absolute must-haves. Granny Tentacles has crazy full AoE DPS for an epic unit, making her one of the best in her tier. Her single target damage isn't great, but who cares when you're obliterating entire waves? And Ban Geek Plankton, that dude's single target DPS is unreal. Seriously, if you need something gone fast, Plankton's got you covered. And finally, let's give some love to Ban Geek Sandy. She's a rare unit, but her DPS is broken. One of the best starters you can get, no doubt. Sure, she falls off compared to legendary units, but for a rare, she's a beast. If you're just starting out or need a reliable backup, she's a solid choice. So that's the breakdown. Whether you're stacking meta legendaries or rocking some hidden gem epics, there's always a way to build a killer team. Let me know in the comments, who's your go-to unit in SpongeBob Tower Defense? The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Cyborg Plankton, Dream Gary, Sea Rhino, Bubbles the Dolphin, Richard, Band Geek, Mrs. Puff, JD Rock SpongeBob, Lord Poltergeist, Dream Patrick, Perch Perkins, Band Geek SpongeBob, and Krusty Krab. Alright, listen up, because we're diving deep into the absolute best units in SpongeBob Tower Defense. If you want to shred through waves like a hot knife through butter, these are the characters you need to get your hands on. Let's break down the S+ tier units and why they're straight up monsters in this game. First up, Cyborg Plankton. This dude is an absolute beast when it comes to pierce DPS. His range is so ridiculous you might as well be sniping at enemies from another dimension. Sure, he's a little outdated compared to newer secret units, but that doesn't change the fact that he's still a DPS king. If you've got him, use him. If you don't, well, good luck. Now, let's talk about the best support unit in the game, Dream Gary. This guy is an essential pick if you want to take your team to the next level. His slow effect is a game changer, letting your heavy hitters do their thing while enemies crawl like they're stuck in a jellyfish net. If you're serious about high level play, Dream Gary is a must-have. Next, we've got the AoE nightmares of this same, Sea Rhino, Bubbles the Dolphin, and Richard. These three are mythical tier legends that can wipe out entire waves without breaking a sweat. Sea Rhino has insane pierce AoE damage, Bubbles is a line AoE destroyer, and Richard? Oh, Richard is just built different. All three of them have insane range, making them some of the best damage dealers in the entire game. Now let's talk about someone who's not just good, but meta. Band Geek Mrs. Puff. This unit is a pierce DPS machine with insane range, making her one of the top mythical units in SpongeBob TD. If you're trying to hit those massive damage numbers, this is the unit you want in your lineup. And of course, we can't forget GG Rock SpongeBob. Another meta unit, another absolute menace. He's got insane range and devastating line DPS, making him an unstoppable force in any battle. If you want your enemies to disappear before they even get close, this is the guy for the job. For those of you who love full AoE destruction, meet Lord Poltergeist. This dude obliterates everything in his radius with some of the best full AoE DPS in the game. Sure, his single target damage is a bit low, but when you're wiping out entire waves like it's nothing, who even cares? And last but not least, let's talk about Krusty Krab. Yes, the only farm unit in the game. If you're grinding through story, challenges, or raids, you need this unit. It's not flashy, it's not going to carry you through waves, but trust me, it's meta for a reason. So there you have it, the S+ tier legends of SpongeBob Tower Defense. If you've got these units, congrats, you're probably destroying leaderboards. If not, well, better start grinding. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Dennis, Hash Slinging Slasher, Seabear, and Spongehenge. Alright, let's talk about some of the absolute legends in SpongeBob Tower Defense, the units that will seriously boost your gameplay and make you wonder how you ever played without them. No more boring strategy, these units will just break the game in the best possible way. Let's dive into the S++ tier and check out why these units are the true kings of the battlefield. First up, we've got Dennis. Oh man, Dennis is just ridiculous. If you haven't tried him yet, you're missing out. He's got insane full AoE DPS, and if that wasn't enough, he also throws in a bonus single target attack that can take out even the toughest enemies. Plus, his range, don't get me started. You can place him far back and he'll still be taking out everything in his path, burning enemies with every attack. Honestly, he might just be the best in the game right now. Then, there's the Hash Slinging Slasher. This guy is a beast in his own right. His AoE deep is off the charts, and like Dennis, he has a single target attack that makes him even more powerful in those clutch moments. And that range? I mean, you'll see him across the map, absolutely shredding anything that comes near. If you're looking for a solid all-around unit, Hash Slinging Slasher is one of the top picks, no doubt. Next, let's talk about Seabear. If you're after a unit that's basically broken, like in a good way, Seabear is your guy. His splash AoE DPS is crazy, and trust me, that alone puts him at the top of the tier list. But he's not just about the damage, his range is absolutely massive, so you can hit enemies from a distance while they're still trying to make their way across the map. Seriously, if you have a Seabear on your team, the enemies don't stand a chance. And now, let's not forget about Spongehenge. This one's a fan favorite, and for good reason. Its AoE DPS is insane. Like, we're talking meta level here. If you're running with this unit, you're going to melt through waves of enemies without breaking a sweat. Plus, its range is more than just good, it's perfect for clearing those tricky spots. Spongehenge is just one of those units that feels like it was made for dominating the toughest levels. All of these units together make up what I like to call the S++ tier. If you're lucky enough to get your hands on any of these, you're going to absolutely breeze through stages. But honestly, it's not just about power, it's about the fun and strategy they bring into the game. Each of these units offers something unique and insane, making SpongeBob Tower Defense one of the most satisfying games to strategize in. So, if you've got one of these bad boys, you're already halfway to victory. To wrap it up, if you're aiming for top tier gameplay, you need these units on your team. Whether it's the AoE madness of Dennis or the splash destruction from Seabear, you've got all the tools you need to dominate. So go ahead, throw these guys on your roster, and prepare to watch those enemies fall faster than you can say, "I'm ready." The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.